Alright, so I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a quick logo in Illustrator and then take it into After Effects and animate it. So just to show you sort of what we're going for here, this is just a little animation that I made for the company that I work for, and it's just a boot animation for an app. So we're going to go into Illustrator. I'm not using Illustrator, I'm using an equivalent sort of clone software that I just prefer. Functionally, it's all the same though. So I'm going to make the page width 1440 and the page height 2880 just because that is the size of my phone. If you have an iPhone or something similar, a different type of phone, you can just look up your width and height or just use 1440 by 2880 or anything you want really. So we'll make a new document, and the first thing I like to do is I like to just go get color inspiration. So we'll go over to Firefox, and my favorite place to find colors is at vanschneider.com/colors, and this is just curated colors by one of my favorite designers, Tobias Van Schneider, who's pretty influential in American design. So I would just scroll through here and wait until I found something that I was excited about. So I'll just go with 42. Go ahead and copy that image and paste it into your document. So I will first just put a easy backdrop and make that the color of the blue. And then I'm going to turn on the grid, and I'm just going to make a simple little logo. So for this one, I'm just going to make some kind of circular shape here. We'll color it something. We'll make the outline that color, and we'll make the stroke about 60. And so let's just make that one a little bit smaller, and then we can copy paste it and bring it out a little bit. Copy paste it, bring it out a little bit. Alright, so now we have a little group of radial circles, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top one and I'm going to split it here at the bottom, get rid of that. I'll take the middle one, or I'll leave the middle one alone, and then I'll take the bottom one, the inside one, and I will remove the top part. Boom. And then I actually want to make those square. I just think it looks a little bit better. So now that we have that, I'm just going to go ahead and make a little line here on the bottom. And let's see, I think we can. Yep, that'll line up perfectly. Okay, so now we have some kind of little logo. I'm not sure if it looks like a Pokeball or an eye, or I don't know. It's open to interpretation. But as you can see, it looks pretty nice on this artboard with these two colors. I think it's helpful to have those colors already in place so you can kind of let your ideas live in the real world. So it's not just black and white, and it's not just vector. Underneath this, we're just going to add a little bit of text. Again, I'm going to go into the internet, and I'm just going to go to translate.google, and just because I don't have a specific name in mind, I'm just going to translate into Japanese, and I'll just do something like this. Alright, paste that in place, and we'll just choose a simple supported font, and we can make that a little bit smaller, and we'll go ahead and grab this accent color for its color. I believe it's white anyway. Oops. It is white. Okay. So now we have something that looks a little bit closer to what we saw in the beginning of this video. And at this point, we can get rid of this or just kind of hide it away in the corner. Alright, now that we have this here, we're just going to jump to Illustrator real quick, and I'll show you how we prepare this file for After Effects. Alright, so now we're opening Illustrator with the same file. If you weren't using a different software to build the file, then you don't have to move anywhere. But here it's important to show you how we can prepare this file to be imported by After Effects. And the way we do that is we need to get every single part into its own layer. So we'll make, let's see, one layer for the background, one for the text, and then 4 for the eye looking thing. So that is 6. So add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the layers, and we can rename them. So this can be background, this can be text, this can be base, inside, middle, outside. All right, then we can just drag these paths into there. So the inside will go there, and the middle will go there, and the outside will go there. And then for our base, I actually ended up using 2 different paths. I simply just split it in half, as you can see here. The reason I'm doing this is because effectively what we want to end up having at the end of this product is something that starts on the left, moves across, comes up, swoops around, and finishes out. And these other 2 elements will animate by themselves independently, but in order to be able to have this sort of looping effect, we can't have one simple shape down here. It'll be too challenging to keyframe that. So we'll just add one more layer for, oops, already did that. So this is base 2. And the text will go there. Boom. All right, so now we are pretty much prepared for After Effects. So we'll just save this into a good spot. Go here. And we'll just save this as Alright, so now all we need to do is just open up After Effects and create a new project. And just to give a quick overview of what this little layout looks like, we have a timeline down here in the bottom, we have a preview panel up here, and on the left we have our project panel, which is effectively a library. So what we want to do is right click and import our file. So we'll click it here, and then all we need to do is make sure that we're importing it as a composition with retained layer sizes. Now that we have that, we just double click on the pictogram to the left of it, and as you can see, we have our little file within After Effects. And as well as that, all of our layers are preserved. Now this only happens, this only happened for us because we went in and manually made separate layers for every single element, but with programs like Overlord, you can easily push and pull vectors from Illustrator to After Effects back and forth mid-workflow. It makes everything a lot easier. If you're at all interested in getting into animation with After Effects and Illustrator, I highly recommend this, but we're not going to get into that in this tutorial. So what we want to do is select all of our layers besides the text, because that's not a path-based layer. We'll right-click them. We'll create shapes from vector layer. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to animate our little eye or Pokeball or whatever this is. And to do that, we just go to Contents, and we go to the right here, we click Add, and we add Trim Paths. And what Trim Paths allows us to do is change the end of the stroke along the path. So as you can see here, if I drag this down to 0, then it's not going to show any of the path. If I put it to 43%, it's going to go through 43%. And we'll come back to this arc, but first thing we're going to do is we're going to animate this bottom left base. So we'll click base, and we'll find that exact one that we need, and we'll go ahead and click Add Trim Paths. And if we open that Trim Paths, as you can see, we can animate it as well. So what we want to do is we want to start without anything there. So we'll bring it down to 0, and we'll click this little timer button to the left. So that's going to say at 0 seconds, we're at 0%. So what we want to do is drag the playhead to about half a second, and if you can't get exactly there, you can click on this little button here and just go 50, and that's going to get us exactly to half a second. And at that point, we can go ahead and drag this all the way up to 100, and it's going to automatically keyframe because that blue light or that blue timer is still illuminated. Okay, so we're happy with that. We can just go ahead and press play and see it animate into place. So what we want to happen here is we want that to come across, animate up and around the circle, and then finish out. So the next thing we'll do is we'll go to that center circle, middle outlines, and we'll do the same thing. Add trim paths, go down, and as you can see, it's not lined up exactly where we want it to be. It's starting from the top. So how do we fix that? We just go ahead and go to offset 180 degrees. That's going to flip it over all the way. Now you can see that it's starting from the opposite angle. So at half a second, we want this to be at nothing. So we'll go to half a second, and we will go ahead and drag the start all the way around and press that little timer until it turns blue. Okay, and then we will go to, let's go to 1.5 seconds here. And we'll drag this all the way around. And, whoops, sorry about that. Let's drag it all the way around. And now if we watch our animation, it should continue the way that we wanted it to. All right, so now we just want to finish out that base real quick. So we'll go to base 2 outlines, add, trim paths, scroll down here, and we'll go to those 1.5 seconds where we left off, and we'll just see which way our path is going. Yep, seems like the end is the right way to keyframe it. Drag that down to 0, click the keyframe button. We'll go to 2 seconds, and we'll drag it all the way out. And now, if we watch our whole animation, we have a little loop-de-loop going on. Okay, so now we just want to animate this top arc and then the inside arc. So we'll start with the outside, and we will go to end. And let's start this at 50 or at half a second, so that right when this base part hits the middle, right at 50 seconds, it's going to start this animation going around, and we'll get a sort of dual direction circular effect. Okay, so we will go to 50 on that, and we'll keyframe it at 0. And then we will go to, let's go to 1 second. And remember, you can do anything with this. This is completely flexible. You can do whatever you want as far as timing on these animations. So at 1 second, we have it going all the way out. And now if we watch our animation again, it looks like something went wrong there. Alright, so I just went ahead and fixed that error real quick of using 50 seconds instead of 30 seconds, and as you can see, we're getting a lot more of a smooth sort of animation going on here. And the last thing we need to do as far as this logo is just animate this inside circle. So we'll go ahead and do the same process as all the other ones. Trim paths, go down here, figure out what we're working with. So that's the correct direction using the end. And we will start animating that right when the outside arc finishes. So at exactly 1 second, we'll set this to 0. And then at exactly 1:30, we will animate it to 100. And now we should be able to get a lot more depth to this motion. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Although it's very simple, it's going to add a lot of sort of excitement to your logos. And the last thing we're going to do is just simply animate this text on the bottom to sort of reveal itself. All right, so to animate the text, what we want to do is make a reveal sort of from left to right, the way we would read it. In order to do that, we just right-click the layer, and we're going to create a mask. And this mask is going to allow us to basically reveal what part of the text we want to when we want to. As you can see, you can move it around and get a live preview of what that sort of means. So we'll reset it into the position where it was defaulted to. And let's just set it so that right when the animation is done, so exactly 2 seconds, we can keyframe that mask path. And then let's just start it at 0. We can go ahead and move the mask path all the way left, and it's going to keyframe again. And now if we just go ahead and click away, don't look at the mask anymore, we can just see what our animation looks like. And that seems like a great animation to me. I'm happy with that. Obviously, there's tons more you can do. You can go into making the transitions a little bit smoother. You can do different kinds of masks. You can do color changes, path changes, all kinds of stuff like that. But for all intents and purposes, this is how you make an animation in After Effects. Now all we need to do is export it. So this is a pretty simple process. All we want to do is go ahead and scroll our playhead on the timeline to the beginning. We'll press B, and then we'll scroll it to 2 seconds, and we'll press N. And B and N are your in and out points. And so as you can see here, if we do that, it's just going to go ahead and loop our animation. And if we want our animation to sort of sit on its final frame for a little bit longer, we can go ahead and just move this to about 230. Exporting this animation is relatively simple. All we need to do is go up to Composition and click on Add to Render Queue. And that'll just open up in your little timeline area here. And you just want to make sure that you have a destination selected. So if there's nothing here where it says Logo Animate, go ahead and click on that blue button, choose your folder that you want to save it into, and choose a name. Then we want to make sure that we're in the right file format. So if we just click on lossless, we can change our format from AVI to something that's a little bit easier for your computer to play. So let's go with QuickTime. And we'll click OK. And all we need to do now is just go on to the right here and click Render. And you can see this is going to quickly go across and it'll be fully rendered, and you can actually see render progress. And as you can see, if we just go ahead and open this .mov file with QuickTime, which will take just a second, we now have an animated logo sequence. Just a little bonus, I'll show you guys how to export this into a Json file, which is a lot more functional for app design and web development because it's a little bit lower impact. It's not playing a real movie file. It allows your computer to render it in real time. So what you need to do for that is download the body movement plugin. And that I don't think we can get on the Cal Poly computers, but I recommend it on your own personal computers. And just go ahead and install it, open it, and go ahead and select our project here and make sure our destination folder is the right place. You can rename your file as well. I'll rename it to animation, and then you go ahead and click render. So the renders are all finished. We can already see a preview of it if we want to by clicking on current renders, and now we can drag our little scroll bar through, and we can see that that's all working correctly. And now all you have to do is download the Lottie Preview app on your phone. That's Lottie, and go ahead and open this file in there, and you can see it on your phone in real time, the way it would seem in an app in the real world. It's a little bit more exciting. So anyhow, obviously there's tons of stuff you can do with animation in After Effects. This is just a simple tutorial on how you guys can simply animate a logo. But hopefully this is helpful, and hopefully you guys have fun doing this. Thank you for watching.